The next day, the 5 of us were all laid flat with illness, raging from Emma, Mimi, Blythe with sniffles, to Amelie and me, who were raging fevers, congestion, and total lack of energy. Fortunately, Mother and Agatha were well attended to us. They both left by mid-morning because Mother was giving a lecture titled Spiritualism and Science We Do Not Yet Understand. For my part, I lay deep in a feverish dream. I dreamed of the ship passing in the night, going faster than possible. I was all alone in a huge liner. I saw Mimi dressed in a bride's dress in another ship. She waved a lacy hanky as she receded quickly from me. I cried out for her not to leave. I saw Blythe on another ship, with 20 children dancing around her. Tesla and Thad flew overhead in a small flying automobile, which was probably how I imagined Tesla's flivver plane. Strangely, as happened in my dreams, Aunt Lily was with them and she was driving. When I looked down, I saw Emma and Amelie were happily doing the backstroke in the ocean. Amelie called out for me to join them, in a voice very like Emma's. From the time to time I would wake, parched. Cousin Agatha was always nearby to pour me a glass of water from her cut glass pitcher. I placed a cold towel on my forehead and I returned to the delirium of dreams. By supper time, I was cooler. Thank heavens, darling, said Agatha, handing me toast on a plate. You'll soon be better now. Amelie is still quite feverish, though. I ate the toast and went downstairs to see Amelie. In her room, an orange and pink sunset was pouring into the window. Emma sat on her bedside. Amelie, who slept, and I sat beside her. What is it like when you are not channeling or making predictions through you? I ask. It's just talk. She says something and I hear it in my mind. And then I answer in my mind and she hears it in hers. I never have to speak out loud to her. It's strange, Emma. Not to me. It's the way it's been all my life. I like it. It's comforting to be so close to another person. I'm never lonely. Mimi Blythe came in, and I sent a telegram to Miss LaRoche and the Frenchwoman Mimi had met who was looking for a nanny. I hope she wants me, Blythe fluttered. Her voice was thick with congestion. You told her I love children, didn't you, Mimi? Since when do you love children? I scoffed. I was one until very recently, Blythe replied. Shh, Mimi hushed us. Let Amelie sleep. Can you see her dreams? I asked Emma in a whisper. Sometimes, but not right now. We went downstairs just as Mother came in with Agatha, who had driven to London to get her. Mother was aflutter with the news of the conference. W.T. Stead was the most gifted psychic she had ever met. An absolute genius of extraordinary prediction. There was a communicated with Julia, the spirit guide, was amazing. That Mr. West kept trying to expose him as a fake, but he never could. Mother, are you in love with Mr. Stead? Blythe asked. I was glad she posed the question because I would never have the nerve, but I was also wondering. Mother colored a brilliant red, which wasn't at all like her. Heavens no. He has a wife and 6 children. They live out on 3 acres, the place called Grandy Hall. He has merely returned to townhouse for a conference. We are dear friends and colleagues. I directed my next comment to Mimi. It matters to a decent person that a person he or she fancies might already be married. Who says I fancy him? Mother objected. He is a brilliant, brilliant man, and kind, but there is no romance. No matter what she said, I was feeling that she had been disappointed to discover he had a wife, let alone 6 children. In his speech today, he recounted 3 premonitions he had of his life which were fulfilled. He alluded to a 4th, which has yet to come, Mother told us. What is it? Emma asked. Mother gazed at us intensely. She held a beat for one of the most dramatic pauses that had become a trademark with her. He would not say. He did not want to accuse of bringing it about which he had predicted. Did Mr. Conan Doyle come back? I asked Mother. Yes, but the poor man seemed to have aged 10 years. He is now completely covered in spiritualism, however. And I sat for several readings. I did a vibrational reading of him. You touched the man who wrote Sherlock Holmes? I gasped. Only his vibratory field. It's very erratic, I fear. I cautioned him to be careful with his health. Mother, can you truly tell anything at all by doing that? Mimi demanded. Mother cast a withering glance. Would I do it if I could not? Mimi shot me the most subtle look of exasperation. No more than I lifted a brow and quivering eyeball. But it was enough to make me bite down on my grin. How I had missed her. By the next day, Emily was almost better, though she stayed in bed while the rest of us went to the convention with Mother. I saw Mr. Ways writing in a notebook, appearing very engrossed. Intrigued, I sat down beside him. "Have you found evidence of fraud?" I asked. He spoke swiftly, as if eager to be back to his writing. "Oh, there's a great deal of trickery going on here, yes, indeed. Some of these people are very good at it, and I cannot understand how they are doing it at all. If you cannot detect a trick, maybe it's legitimate," I offered. "It can't be done. It has to be a trick," he countered. "Isn't it the pre-convention notion taunting your research?" I argued. "It's plain common sense, if that's what you mean of it." "Are you writing an article claiming that the conference is full of frauds?" I inquired. I was surprised to discover that I was slightly alarmed by the possibility. Was I becoming a believer, or did I simply like that people evolved not wanting to see them embarrassed? Someday I will write an article, but right now I am recording all their tricks. I have witnessed here. One man can throw his voice to the corner of the room and thereby appear as if he's talking to a ghost. There is a greater demonstration of ventriloquism I've ever witnessed. Another woman can swallow metal objects and silently regurgitate them at will, thus appearing to produce keys and bracelets and all sorts of things from the spiritual world. That's amazing. "If you're not writing an article, what will you do with this information?" I asked. He grinned at me. "I will only become the greatest magician the world has ever seen, that's all. My fame will be even greater than it already is." "I know who you are," I cried, as the reality burst upon me. "You're Harry Houdini, the magician. I've seen your picture in the paper." He would have himself chained hand and foot, yet escape from a sealed case of water before he drowned. He stood abruptly and bowed. "At your service," he said gallantly. "Why are you using a fake name?" I asked. "It is my real name. Harry Houdini is a fake name." He tucked his notebook under his arm. "Goodbye, Jane," he said. I watched him leave, not quite believing I'd actually met the world's greatest magician. His convincing skepticism made me once again uncertain about the spiritualism realm. The next day, Mimi received a return telegram from Miss LaRoche, who had said she already put upon Blythe's ticket in the first-class mail. Needless to say, Blythe was at a state of stagulation. However, quickly turned to a state of abrupt panic as she considered that her wardrobe was nearly grand enough to be on the greatest of all luxury liners, the Titanic. "You're just a kid, Nanny," I reminded her. "And you'll be in second class," Mimi said. "That won't matter. You'll get me into first class, won't you? I mean, for meals and parties and things?" "I don't know if I can," Mimi told her. "Well, I'll find a way in. But not in those horrible dresses I own. Oh, this will be a disaster."